My name is Butch Ware, Dr. Butch Ware. I'm a professor of history at University of California, Santa Barbara. I finished third alongside Dr. Jill Stein in the 2024 presidential elections, running with the Green Party, and I am running as a Green Party candidate for the governor of state of California in 2026. If you want to get off of this runaway circus ride of out of control politics, your basic interests being sold off to the highest bidder, people poisoning your environment and people poisoning your politics, then vote green.
Tell us a little bit about your race in California that's coming up in 2026. One of the things that's a standout for me right now is that we've watched for the last 18 months the genocide of the Palestinian people under a governor who has not said a thing, who's not done anything, and who's done nothing but enable this. And we were wondering, where would your stand be if you were governor of California in this regard?
So the first thing is that the people of California are against the genocide of the Palestinian people. This is a 70-30, 80-20 issue. Like the national population have been in favor of ceasefire, since 2 or 3 months into the genocide. So the reason why, you see this response from the politicians, both Democrat and Republican, is because they are owned by AIPAC. They are owned by the American-Israel Political Action Committee, so their hands are tied. They have to keep right on going. You have seen, former Representative Katie Porter, who's running against me for governor, say that she stands with Israel, and Israel has a right to defend itself. The right to defend oneself does not include the right to genocide the people. And we have seen entire counties, like Alameda County, divest from corporations that do business with this genocidal state. So what you will see for me as governor of the state of California is an effort to tap into that resistance that has already been expressed in various municipalities, universities, and counties, and get the state of California to divest from genocide in its entirety, period, full stop. The citizens in this state pay not just the citizens, the residents as well, pay a couple $100 million per year to the state of Israel, and that has to stop. We should not be using our tax dollars coming from the state of California to incinerate children in their sleep in tents.
Amen. And Butch, what is the most urgent message your campaign has for the people of California during these uncertain times?
The most urgent message that I have is that we are witnessing an escalation in fascist repression that is coming from a far right fringe. And we have to organize to resist, to protect our basic civil liberties. We have people being disappeared right off the streets simply for their political dissent. And with all due respect, and I understand that a lot of people have voted Democrat for a long time, but the one thing that we know for sure is that the Democratic Party cannot or will not protect us from Donald Trump. They gave us Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton's Pied Piper campaign in 2016 led to Trump being the candidate. And they've spent tens of millions of dollars pushing the Republicans to the right. So what we have to do inside the state of California is we have to be the bulwark of the resistance. We have to have actual opposition. This is the leftist-leaning state in the union. We are the place where the resistance has to begin, and that means we need to organize outside of this corporate duopoly, because unfortunately the Democratic Party has become too beholden to corporate interests to fight on our behalf, and that's why I'm running as a Green. We do not take a penny of corporate money. If they put the sun in my right hand and the moon in my left, I would not sell out the people. And in the Declaration of Independence, it does not say we the corporations. What does it say? It says we the people. So we are bringing back we the people right here in the state of California, and that is going to spread all throughout this nation. Whatever happens in this most wealthy and populous state in the union will shape and shake up everything in the United States of America. If the 50 states were all independent republics, California would have the 5th largest economy in the world. So whatever we do is going to set the pace. Let's have the beginning of our New Age freedom movement set off right here.
What message do you have for Democratic voters who want change but are unsure about supporting the Green Party?
I absolutely understand why people who have traditionally voted Democratic have been reticent to vote for the Green Party. The first thing that I told Green Party leadership after our 2024 election campaign, where I ran as the VP and we finished third, is that this party needs to fight harder to win. It is not good enough to just show up on the playing field. You have to be playing to win. So this party right now, and this gubernatorial run in the state of California is part of that, is building for political power in new ways. But I'm going to tell you this, if you have been hesitant to support a third party option, look at what your fealty, your obedience to the two-party system has gotten you so far. In every single poll, 70% of American independents, 53% of Democrats, 48% of Republicans say that these two parties are so bad at their job that we need a third party that is independent of those influences. In another poll, it was 63% of the general American voting public. So you all know that these two corporate parties do not serve you. And yet when you are given an option to vote for a third party that gives you all the things that you say that you want, universal health care, affordable housing, quality education, you say, I can't vote for them because they can't win. The only reason why we haven't won is because you haven't voted for us in sufficient numbers. But in a city like San Francisco, not too long ago, a Green Party candidate got 47% of the vote, almost ended Gavin Newsom's career in his San Francisco mayoral run before it started. We absolutely can and will win elections if you support us.
In regards to voting for the lesser of two evils, we've seen this over and over and over again in the political system in the United States. And I was wondering if you could give us a few words as to how you would navigate that if you were a voter.
Yeah. So this is a classic example of being in a relationship with an abusive, narcissistic, and toxic gaslighter. So here's how this usually looks, especially for Democrat voters. I know I didn't get you that health care that you needed, baby. I know I didn't buy your medicine. I know I didn't take you to the hospital. And I know I took all of that money that was supposed to go to your health care and I bought a bunch of guns and ammo with it. And I know I shot up that school, but next time, baby, I promise I'm going to take care of your health. I promise I'm going to take care of our housing. I know that the house is falling apart, the roads are in ill repair, there's no furniture in most of the rooms, but those guys over there, it's even worse with them. So this is where they get you. They abuse you and then they try to scare you and say it's worse. They genocide people and then they say, but Trump. They impoverish you and then they say, but Trump. The reality is that we have to unplug from this politics of fear. We have been conditioned for fear and hatred. Let me be clear about this. I'm not just coming for blue voters, I'm coming for red voters. And the reason is that the things that we agree on, affordable housing, affordable health care, quality education, those are not partisan concerns. Those are 70-30, 80-20 issues with the American people, and neither party is delivering on those right now. I don't care what God you pray to or don't pray to. I don't care who you lay down next to in bed at night. Live your life the way that you choose to live your life, but every one of our rights and basic dignities should be respected, and we should have representation in our democratic system rather than a corporate-owned kleptocracy.
Absolutely.
What's maybe different about me from other political candidates is that my father spent the better part of 2 decades on and off the streets, in and out of homeless shelters, sleeping on the street. My father was a locksmith with a 6th grade education, God rest his soul, who had experienced some of the brutality that America could offer to a black man of his generation. In the Reagan years, with the cut of the social safety net and all of the mental health programs, that's when his slide really began. And there was nothing left to catch him, right? Because this trickle-down economic model, which used to be called the horse and sparrow model, you stuff a horse's mouth and eventually they'll crap out enough for the sparrows to eat. It's nonsense. What it did was remove the basic safety net for a lot of people who are marginalized in the society. So my father battled mental health problems, battled addiction, and battled homelessness. God rest his soul, and I miss him. I miss what I lost. He was a beautiful, beautiful man. And when I see someone struggling with homelessness, I think of my father and what kinds of interventions could be made at a political level in order to produce a more humane outcome in someone's life. So that I think then, what kinds of treatment and what kinds of care, if we have universal health care in the state of California that includes mental health care, then that solves a fundamental variable in the homelessness equation. If you have sufficient addiction treatment, and especially if you have affordable housing, rather than continuing to run the housing development racket that the Democrats have been running. They call it affordable housing when they write checks to their developer buddies, rather than just having the state build affordable housing at cost rather than doing it for a profit. If you do those three things, health care that includes mental health, addiction treatment, and affordable housing, your homelessness problem is going to be effectively solved. And don't even get me started on universal basic income. As the governor of the state of California, I will never comply with any unconstitutional order. That means that ICE is not going to touch a single head on the hair of any California resident, period, full stop. That is an illegal, unconstitutional organization that was only allowed to be founded because of the root Islamophobia, and it has now been weaponized not just against our immigrant brothers and sisters, but increasingly against anyone who offers any kind of political dissent. But until you elect me, organize, and that means you need to be out putting eyes on ICE. The reality is that 9 times out of 10, if not 99 times out of 100, they are breaking the law in the way that they carry out these various abductions and kidnappings. Unless there is a signed judicial warrant with your name on it and your name spelled right, you are under no obligation to open a door or talk to these people. And we need to be organizing so that people know their rights and so that we have eyes on the Gestapo, because we can't even call that particular group police. This was the mission of the Panthers in their day. The Panthers rode around to protect the community, and as the great KRS-One, said, you're supposed to serve and protect. Well, who protects us from you? And the reality is that until you put leadership and authority that is willing to protect the people, then the people have to protect themselves. We have to keep one another safe, and that means that we have to be responsible for alerting our community members in ways that do not inflame panic, but that give them the resources they need to keep out of the clutches of this secret police.
What I'm looking for is a permanent place for people to be. Stopping 100%. The sweeps altogether and providing people services.
Absolutely. Stop the sweeps immediately. Yesterday, stop the sweeps yesterday. And to just return to another, kind of Newsom failing that's relevant to this conversation, so legislation has already been proposed to prohibit any coordination between California Department of Corrections and ICE. Newsom has said if that reaches his desk, he'll veto it. In other words, he is going to hand over people and information to the feds over and against the activism of lawmakers who are trying to keep Californians from being harmed in that way. So what holds all of this together is that the most marginal people, the most fragile people in our society are being thrown under the bus by a Democratic Party that they do cosplay activism. They do cosplay progressive politics. What they really do is they serve corporate masters, and always at the expense of the weakest and most impoverished in the society. We need elected officials, public servants that protect every segment of society, not just the donor class.